Did you know that you could be proud of the music you're making 90 days from now, even if you've never made music before? All it takes is a commitment to 5 minutes a day. Yep, just 5 minutes and you'll embark on a transformative journey into music production and self-discovery. Can you spare that? I'm Bill Gates, and I've spent 20 years distilling my experiences with Grammy-winning artists, making tracks played over 65 million times into something epic for you, The Producer's Path. This isn't just a course, it's a gateway to mastering music production without needing expensive gear or prior experience. You don't need to be born rich, you don't need to be born gifted. All you need is a commitment to spending 5 minutes a day on music. The Producer's Path is a proven system that has supported top artists throughout the industry. And now it's your turn to access these secrets and forge your own unique sound. As you journey through the 12 levels of the Producer's Path, each step designed to build your skills and confidence, you'll not only learn music production, but also discover how to express your individual style, breaking the rules like a true artist. Join our vibrant Producer Dojo community, get feedback on your tracks, and maybe even feature on a Dojo mixtape. With no subscriptions and free updates for life, your path to music mastery is evergreen, and you can come back again and again and again, getting more out of it each time. So what's it going to be? Continue as is, or spend the next 90 days at the dojo transforming into the music producer you've always wanted to be? Listen to what your fellow dojo members have achieved with the Producer's Path. Their success stories could be yours.
I started from zero.
Dude, the way you laid it out,
Here's what you do first.
It's amazing.
The habit tracking changed my whole mindset.
honestly,
Huge breakthrough.
Huge difference.
comprehensive.
Game changers.
It gives me goosebumps.
Just blows my mind.
That's when I was like, okay, I can make music.
I'm actually doing some art.
Making music felt more real at that point.
To understand, hey, motherfucker, I'm doing this shit right.
I can show my children's children who I was.
Other people have been saying it sounds good.
Everybody's, oh, that's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting.
Never found the answer until I went to the Producer's Path.
Hell yeah. What up, people? I hope you're all doing well. I'm feeling really good today. I spent a long time editing that video. It was really nice to unleash it on the world. But yeah, you are here because you've made the decision to pursue music. And that is a decision that I can get behind. So congratulations on making the decision. It was the right decision. Life is far too short to not chase your passion. There's lots of people in this world who would kill to have the opportunities that you have. And I'm reminded of an accidental lesson that I got when I was in high school. And we had a substance abuse resource teacher named Mr. Sarrazin who came in. And Mr. Sarrazin was like, he had this like kind of really like excessively megawatt smile, and he came in with a tracksuit. He was the substance abuse resource teacher, and he was also the gym teacher. And he came in all peppy, and he was like, "Hey guys, hey, how's it going, guys? Hey, how are you today? All right, hey everybody, take your hand, go like this, go like this. You see that little divot right there? Yeah, you see that little divot? Yeah, what's that remind you of? Yeah, it's like a little scoop, like a little spoon. I remember when I first saw that, I was like, oh my God, we don't need spoons anymore. We can just do our drugs right there. And man, I put everything I could into that spoon. Cocaine, heroin. The next thing you know, I was living down by the train tracks. Yeah, I was. I was stealing. I was doping all day. And then I hit rock bottom and I looked into the pit of that spoon and I said, you know what, Dennis Sarrazin's gonna change. Dennis Sarrazin, you're better than this little divot in your hand right now. And I put that thing away and I made a decision right then and there that I would change, and change I did. I kicked the habit, and then I went and started working out, and I've been working out every day, and now I'm the phys ed teacher at the school, so I want you to know that you can do anything. And I was like, wow, that guy really made all the mistakes that you're not supposed to do, and he's fine. Like I gotta take more risks with my life. You know, I don't know if that was the lesson I was supposed to get out of it. But yeah, I mean, you know, there's lots of people who never get a chance to roll the dice. And to me, when you get the chance to roll the dice, life hands you a shot. You got a toilet that flushes and, you know, you're not going to get sent to jail for saying the wrong thing. Well, then you take your shot, because there's people that would kill to take that shot. So that's what I figured. And I took my shot. And it worked out great. I wouldn't take it back. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I've had a lot of fun in my life. I've met a lot of cool people. And music, one of the most underrated benefits of music is that it acts as a social filter. It really does. And the people that I met through music and because of music and the people that brought me close with music, it really helped me find my tribe, find beauty in the world, find meaning in my life. And yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything. So welcome to the Producer's Path. So today's lesson is called Lesson 0. And Lesson 0 is really all about getting you ready for all of the mayhem to come in the rest of the lessons here. I'm just trying to resize my window here, get it just the right size. Yeah, I think it was about there. Yeah, that's where I want it. But yeah, Lesson 0 is all about getting you ready to embark on the producer's path. This is all the steps that you need to take to get ready for the producer's path 2.0. And if you pay attention, you'll find out why the producer's path works. So even if you don't own the full course yet, there's still a lot you can get out of this lesson. And a lot of the things that it teaches you, I wish I knew from the jump. So first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about the objectives of the course because, it's real hard to hit targets that you're not aiming for. And then we're going to talk about how habits, more than anything else, habits are what will take you to the mountain. There are a lot of really wrong assumptions that people tend to make about making electronic music, especially when they they check out that movie, We Are Your Friends, with Zac Efron's abs in it. And Zac Efron's abs are a DJ. And the older DJ is like the villain for kind of like undisclosed reasons. And then Zac Efron gets a shot from meeting this older DJ. And then he ends up like running off with the guy's wife, which is somehow okay in the movie because he's jaded. I don't know. I'm really confused about the morality of that script, but not as confused as the writers were when they made it. But that movie hammers in again and again and again the point that all you need is one perfect track and a laptop, and you just get that one big hit and you get discovered, and then you get a career in music. And like, honestly, that is like the exact worst advice that you can give to someone who's starting out in music, because most people that I know who've spent their life doing music, there wasn't really a big break that happened at any point. They never got discovered. There was never a magic fairy in a suit who came along after their, ragtag band won the competition where the prize money was the exact amount of money that grandma needed for her cancer treatment. And then this like man in a suit, this magical man comes out of the woodwork and is like, you kids got talent. With your talent and my business schmatz, we could crack this industry wide open like an egg. Yeah. And then, I don't know. And then they got to like ditch their friends or something. That's always the plot of all those movies. But yeah, that's not how it works at all. It really isn't. If you do want an actual career in music, you got to build it. You got to build that fan base yourself by straight up just going out there and physically meeting people. Like, that's the best way. Even if you don't have gigs, if you just go out, meet people, be nice to them, get them to listen to your music, ask for feedback, get their phone numbers, that's how you do it. Like, that's how you do it. Because when you are getting gigs, it doesn't matter whether you're like the best DJ or not. That's not really what promoters are looking for in an opener. They kind of don't really care that much. Like, as long as you're not like wildly off brand or like saying racist things on Twitter, the main thing that they care about is that you will sell concert tickets and that you will have draw in a local area. And if you have a network of people in your cell phone that like your music enough to agree in advance to buy tickets when you open for a relevant headliner, if you show that list to a promoter, they'll book you. They'll book you. That's what they care about. They care about getting the word out and selling tickets. Like, it might be the headliner's name that makes the tickets worth $30, but most people find out about it from the local who's opening. And that could be you. All right. That could be you. So, habits, really getting in the habit of doing these things. Like, if you get in the habit of meeting one person per week, that you get one phone number per week for your mailing list or your contact list, that's a great habit. That habit will take you to the mountain. It all adds up over time. None of them are huge. None of the steps are big steps. There's usually not any shortcuts or like magic fairy in a suit. It's just like making it fun enough that you keep doing it. Make it fun for yourself. Make it easy. Make it not a big deal. Make it like having a shower or going to the bathroom before you go out. Just like a thing you do. A bodily function, like we all like to look at art through these rose-covered colored glasses. Like, there's the dusty world of the mundane on one hand, and then the sacred world of art on the other hand. But as your creative skills progress, you realize it's not magic. Artists are just people like you or anyone else. They're just people. They just have different habits than you do. And over time, their habits have taken them somewhere that you want to go. So if you want to get there, you got to get into the habit of putting one foot in front of the other until you get to the mountaintop. It's easy to look at the mountaintop and be like, sure wish I could teleport. I'll never see that mountaintop. But who gets to mountaintops? Normal people. And you know how they get there? By walking. Most mountains, it's just by walking. You just walk up it. Takes a while. But, if you find something you like about walking up mountains, you'll enjoy it. Some time will pass, and then you'll be on the mountaintop. So, straight up. Now, if you're trying to get to the mountain by walking, you got to mean it. You don't want to get halfway up the mountain and then have to walk all the way back. It's a pretty crappy hike, right? If you're like, hey guys, let's go to the mountaintop. And then you get like a third of the way up and you're like, no one told me it would involve walking. I'm not going on a hike with you again, right? So you got to commit. You got to commit because, it takes some time. It doesn't happen instantly. But time's going to pass whether you make music or not. If you, in 90 days from now, you'll be 90 days older. You could be 90 days older and have learned to make music you like. Or you could be 90 days older and not have learned to make music you like. That's the choice, right? That's the choice. And really the cost to failure is like entirely in your head. There's this guy, I think his name is Jiang, who did this incredible TED Talk called 100 Days of Rejection. And he was an entrepreneur and he moved to the US, I think from China or something. And he encountered his first rejection and it like crushed him. And he was like, oh, I gotta give up on my dream. I got rejected. I feel so poopy in my soul. And then he was like, wait a minute, my whole life was working towards, getting a visa and starting a company and coming to America. And like, rejection is normal. All my favorite authors got rejected like 10,000 times before their book came out. Famously, like that's like, I mean, the Confederacy of Dunces, if you've ever read Confederacy of Dunces, it was published like posthumously. Like the dude, he just got rejected his whole life. He got rejected his whole life until eventually he died and Confederacy of Dunces came out. And it's like widely regarded as one of the greatest books of American literature, right? And he spent his whole life getting rejected. And then now we all love his book. And so, rejection's pretty normal. So Jiang was like, wait a minute. what does rejection cost me actually? Like, what is the actual cost to failure when you put yourself out there with a project? And then he was like, you know what? The only real cost of failure is that it makes me emotionally uncomfortable. That's it. I've not actually lost anything because I didn't have anything that the rejection took away, right? So he embarked on a 100-day program to desensitize himself to the emotional discomfort of rejection. And he desensitized himself to the point where he was like, okay, great. I can pitch myself 20 times a day. And he just did it until he got lucky, and because he had desensitized his fear of rejection. There's all these really cool fear of rejection exercises. I only made it through like the first few, but I still do them every now and then. Like there's one where you're supposed to just ask for a totally undeserved discount when you're buying stuff. That one is really hard. Like the first couple times you do it, like at Starbucks or something, when you're like, yeah, can I just have $1 off? And like every now and then you'll get something that's like, it's ridiculous that they gave it to you. And it's just because you asked. Also like lying down on the street in a public area. I do that sometimes just to like get ready. Like, especially if I'm taking like a break from making music and I need to just like shake my consciousness up. I'll just go practice like lying on the ground and just see what people do. And you got to just like, just be neutral when people come up and talk to you. And it's like, it's really hard. It's really hard to do. But yeah, it's great. So check out the 100 Days of Rejection. But yeah, so very, very important. But yeah, you got to commit. You can't be afraid. There's no cost to failure really, other than time. And if you've enjoyed the way you've spent your time and you found it fulfilling, then is there a cost? Right? So there's a Kurt Vonnegut quote that I like to read, that I could read this quote 100 times. I'm going to try not to cry. I always like tear up a little reading this because it's just so beautiful. But yeah, so there's this high school that, one of their assignments was to write all of their favorite authors. And someone in the class chose Kurt Vonnegut, which that's who I would have chosen. And they wrote him, and he was the only famous author that wrote back. And this is in 2006, right at the end of his life. He's really, really old. And he wrote the class back, and this is what he wrote. Dear Xavier High School, teachers' names, etc. I thank you for your friendly letters. You sure know how to cheer up a really old geezer, 84, in his sunset years. I don't make public appearances anymore because I now resemble nothing so much as an iguana. What I had to say to you, moreover, would not take long. To wit, practice any art, music, singing, dancing, acting, drawing, painting, sculpting, poetry, fiction, essays, reportage, no matter how well or how badly, not to get money and fame, but to experience becoming, to find out what's inside you, to make your soul grow. Seriously, I mean, starting right now, do art and do it for the rest of your lives. Draw a funny or a nice picture of Miss Lockwood and give it to her. Dance home after school and sing in the shower, and on and on. Make a face in your mashed potatoes. Pretend you're Count Dracula. Here's an assignment for tonight, and I hope Miss Lockwood will flunk you if you don't do it. Write a 6-line poem about anything, but rhymed. No fair tennis without a net. Make it as good as you possibly can, but don't tell anybody what you're doing. Don't show it or recite it to anybody, not even your girlfriend or parents or whatever, or Miss Lockwood, okay? Tear it up into teeny weeny pieces and discard them into widely separated trash receptacles. You will find that you have already been gloriously rewarded for your poem. You have experienced becoming, learned a lot more about what's inside you, and you have made your soul grow. God bless you all. Kurt Vonnegut. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, it gets no better than that. It gets no better than that. So, yeah. So if you're fearing the commitment, maybe check out Zhu Jiang's 100 Days of Rejection. Maybe think about Kurt Vonnegut's words. Maybe think about my substance abuse resource teacher, Mr. Sarrazin, you have the luxury of trying and failing even when there is a cost. And failing at art, there's not really much of a cost. It's not like comedy where when it's bad, it stops being comedy. Music is still music when it's bad. It's kind of awesome that way. All right. So once we talk about commitments, we're going to talk about playlists and different kinds of reference playlists that you'll need to put together because, you know, I can give you very definite answers about things like volume levels in my own music, but how loud is a kick supposed to be? Everyone, when they're starting, they want a recipe. They want numbers. But the volume of a kick drum in a Sarah McLachlan song will be very different than the volume of a kick drum in a Knife Party song. Which one is right or wrong, right? You have to have references and you have to study them to learn about making the music that you want to make that's inspired by the people that inspire you. It's a personal journey. I can teach you how to study them though, and then you'll know. Then you'll have those definite answers that you want. And then once we discuss the different types of playlists, we're going to talk about preparing your battle station in many different ways. And then we're going to talk a little bit about your assignments. All right. Okay. So the objective of the entire course is to make music that you're actually proud of, that you feel good showing people. That's it. Make your music sound awesome to you. Make it so that you can be like, you know what? I did that. I made something that other people like enough to listen to recreationally or perhaps even medicinally, because music is medicine, right? So the first objective is, and primary objective, is to make music that you're proud of. Now, there are a few foundations of how we're going to get there. The first one is creating a daily 5-minute habit of dedicating at least 5 minutes to your music every day. That's all it really takes. The power of habit tends to take over. You tend to get excited about what you're doing, etc. But getting started is the biggest problem for most people. And continuing to maintain consistency is the biggest problem. And as you will learn, counterintuitively, the greatest success comes with the smallest goals. Then we're going to focus on improving our listening skills, because 80% of improving at music is improving at listening. Then we're going to write out a style manifesto. This may not be your forever style manifesto, but having a very clear picture of what you do and do not want with your music is essential, because really that certainty of knowing what's right or wrong, that needs to come from you. And a lot of the time, what makes your music sound fresh is not necessarily what you do, but what you specifically do not do. And if you want to make music that sounds original, you're going to have to find some things that everybody does that you're going to not do. Then I want to tell you about the concept of creating sparks and why you want to curate meaningful sparks. Sparks are they're like sounds or lyrics or ideas or emotions or concepts or what have you, that when your mind takes them in, it spontaneously generates the rest of the piece. There will be pieces that you come across, pieces of audio, or maybe presets, chord progressions. Maybe it's just a pair of notes on the piano. But when you hear that, the fireworks go off and your mind says, I know just how to do the rest of this. I can hear it now. Anytime you find something like that, you want to save it to start a track with. It's usually not a good idea to bring one in the middle of a project, especially if you're suffering from ear fatigue, because whatever is new is going to sound much more exciting and relevant than it actually is. So you end up going down and basically making a remix. If you're trying to take something boring and make a remix of it, a spark is a great thing to bring in. But if you just come in, find one in the middle of working on a track, it's usually a good idea to just keep it in your sparks folder. But they don't have to just be samples. Probably it'll mostly be samples and clips and things. But you want to have a bunch of these seeds, inputs. They're like, and you want them to have a lot of emotional weight and gravity to them. You want to feel like potential energy. There's different types of energy. There's like kinetic energy, like when you throw something and it has inertia and flies through the air. And then there's potential energy. For example, when you are sitting at the top of a slide at a playground, although your body is at rest, you have a lot of potential energy that can be released by going down the slide. And that potential energy is what makes you go fast, right? So these sparks should carry a lot of weight in that they have a lot of potential energy, and that you can feel the potential energy within them and feel as though they are ready to explode into the rest of the song. Collecting those sounds is very important. And I like to always start from one of those because I find that it really imparts a lot of momentum in the early portions of the process. And it is especially important when you are new, because a lot of the time when people are new, they are filled with doubt and uncertainty about what the rest of the piece, quote unquote, should be. And it's a lot of those shoulds that are kind of imagined or internalized or what have you that stop you from starting and stop you from getting anywhere. So beware of those shoulds, and a spark with a lot of emotional gravity and potential energy will help you to experience the certainty that you need to hit the gas and work quickly. Then we're going to learn finishing with recipes. Okay. I like to teach people the most direct route to the finish line first, because finishing is the most important skill to develop. If you're not practicing finishing, you're not really making music. You're exploring sounds, etc. But without things being like finished, you're still jamming. It's like every track becomes an endless jam that takes months and months and years until you get sick of them, and then you don't ever finish them. And then that's the end of that, right? So finishing is how you improve. Finishing is how you let go. And you can always come back and do a remix. It's digital. Learning how to finish will help you from being creatively constipated. And if you're creatively constipated, don't feel bad. I went through a lot of that myself. Most musicians do. We have this idea of what we want to do. We're really passionate about it. But almost because of that passion, because of how sincere we are in that passion, it makes it frightening. And that passion can turn to poison and eat you alive. So you must learn to finish so that you can get it out before, it turns sour. So we're going to learn finishing with the recipes because, you want to learn, you got to know how to get there with the map before you can get there without the map, and take the detours and stuff. Detours will just get you lost unless you know the way first. And then we're going to practice speed by using templates. But while these are very good scaffoldings for learning, usually when I am writing a track, I start with a spark and try and do as little else as possible so I don't follow a recipe or use templates. But that's because those recipes and templates and everything is like deeply inside of me. You know, I've done it so many times that I can move forwards without needing them. But I did need them at first. Most people do. And they provide like a scaffolding and a direction and a roadmap for you to get there. Okay, so we're going to learn finishing with recipes. Then we're going to learn speed with templates. And the goal of all of this, especially the finishing part, is to make it fun and make it rewarding, because fun and the feeling of reward at a neurochemical level are essential to being able to sustain the habit. If you are frustrated by your inability to finish things, or if you are constantly just like, you can't get them out, you will eventually sour on the idea of making music. It is rare that you find someone who is able to dedicate themselves fully to their creative pursuit if they do not finish anything, right? There is some, like, yes, Mr. Beatnik himself, the joy is in the journey, but that journey cannot have momentum without finishing. You're not really taking a journey. It's like, let's say you're setting off on a trip across the country and you get to Delaware and you're like, let's just keep hanging out in Delaware. You know? Like, you didn't really go across the country. You went to Delaware. Right? So it's important to be able to leave things behind when you're on a journey. And your fans want you to leave things behind as well. But finishing is the most important thing you can do to improve. Finishing is the most important thing you can do to move on. And finishing is the most important thing you can do to make sure that your journey is more than one town. Okay? So that's the objective. The objective is to make music you're proud of. We're going to focus on habit, listening, style manifesto, curating personally meaningful sparks, learn finishing with recipes, learn speed with templates, and make it fun and rewarding the whole time so that neurochemically we come back. We don't get turned off of music. We don't get frustrated with music. We don't wonder what's wrong with us. Why don't I ever get anywhere? It's so easy for some people. That's so simple. I could do that. I make more complicated things in my house. I'm way better, but the world doesn't know. I'm an unappreciated genius. Bah! That's the tendency when people don't finish things. They get sour on music as a whole eventually. All right. So if you want music to be a mentally healthy and sustainable practice, being able to, keep moving, to find it rewarding, to move on, to make another track and another track and another track and another track. My journey through music, I've finished thousands of songs, and that is thousands of songs I would not have finished if I didn't finish the first one. The first serious one, took me 1.5 years, and I hated myself during that process. But when I learned the workflow and I learned the recipe and I learned how to think like a successful artist and not just someone who's interested in music, I wanted to scream it from the mountaintop. And it made such a massive difference in my mental health when I was able to get out from the weeds that I was like, I need this for everybody. And that's why I've chosen to teach. All right, so let's talk about habits. So one of the most powerful books about habit. Now, I've talked a lot about Gail Matthews' research that's in the Ill Methodology, which you can watch for free on YouTube, the new Ill Methodology 2. I talk about Gail Matthews' research in goal setting and habit formation. And then I talk a lot about Ed Desi's research in intrinsic motivation, where you do things for their own sake rather than for reward or punishment. But I've not talked much about Atomic Habits. It's a great book. It's helped a lot of people in the dojo. It really helped me. And there's a lot that I want to cover from this book as well. So the deal with atomic habits is if you want to change your habits, you need to rig the game so that you can win, because humans are motivated by a very small number of things: serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, etc. If you take away a source of reward, for example, doing heroin, like Mr. Sarrazin, and then you do not substitute it with another source of neurochemical reward, such as working out, like Mr. Sarrazin, chances are your brain is going to be like, I need equilibrium. Give me my neurotransmitter fix again. Let's do some heroin, right? So if you're going to change your habits, you need to get reward happening from the new habit that is replacing whatever old habit. That is if you're trying to break a bad habit and replace it with a good one. But also if you're just trying to adopt a new habit in general, you need to make it rewarding. You need to get a dopamine hit. And a dopamine hit comes from winning, from crossing things off the list, from finishing things. Yes, there is a great joy in the process. There is a great joy of problem solving, but the moment you solve the problem is a lot more joyous, isn't it? So you want to rig the game so that you can win. And this is one of the most pathological beliefs that, like, pretty much half of my job as an educator is just like beating this belief out of people with words, okay? Music can be as hard as you want. You can make it as hard for yourself as possible. You can make it so hard that no matter your skill, there is some musical thing that will be too hard for you, that will grind you into dust. And artists who believe that you have to suffer to be an artist, that music has to be hard to be worth something, etc., etc., etc. This is like the biggest thing that holds people back, is like, this belief that music is hard, And I mean, it all comes down to like the fear of what other people think, and, the fear of being laughed at, fear of being silly, etc. And we want to impress people. We want our music to be a flex, so we can go, look at me, I did that, I climbed the mountain, check me out, oh, I'm so awesome, aren't you impressed with my musical muscles? And that is like not a good way to approach things. It's not mentally healthy. No one is impressed by you rocking up and going, aren't I impressive? Like, I've seen people do some really impressive stuff, but like when you talk to them and they're all like weirdly desperate for your approval, it's like, it couldn't be less impressive. Okay. So don't beat yourself up with this music is hard concept, because this is what's stopping you from forming the habit. And the habit, remember, is what takes you to the mountain. So atomic habits, atoms are really small. They're, the smallest thing until you start getting into like quantum physics, which has concepts like retrocausality and non-locality that just do not make sense at our level. But an atom is the smallest thing that makes any kind of sense to a person living in time, and at any kind of a scale. So atomic, it was once posited that atoms were as small as it gets. So the idea with atomic habit is to make the smallest possible habit. If you want to work out, don't be like, I'm going to go to the gym for 3 hours a day. Make your goal, I will do 1 push-up a day. There's no excuses for doing 1 push-up. There's no excuses for that. If your goal is to do 1 push-up before you put a tick in the box, I mean, come on, right? So the idea being that tiny incremental changes, like if you just get 1% better every day, eventually that becomes a hockey stick-like curve until you've got 1% better so many times that it's really hard to get 1% better, because it's an exponential curve, right? But yeah, the idea being tiny incremental changes will cause tremendous differences. Water, the softest thing in the world, will cut through stone eventually, right? So tiny incremental changes are really how big things are done. Tiny incremental changes are how big things are done, and it is how you will get to the mountain. So consistency, there's a lot of science to back this up in that book too, but consistency is more important than anything else. Developing a consistent reward structure at a neurochemical level, like making it so that music gives you your dopamine hit, right? That consistency is a big part of it, because your brain is like, your brain's not making a whole lot of new brain cells as you get older, but we have this thing called neuroplasticity, which is where the brain is constantly forming new connections all day long. That's how you can make new memories, have new thoughts, have new experiences, etc. If the brain was totally static, you would not be able to have new experiences. So when you're making these connections, the brain is like a very costly thing, evolutionarily speaking. And so you can't make every single connection permanent in your brain, which is why like eyewitness testimony is so terrible in court, right? But you can't, like, your brain cannot make connections permanently unless they are rehearsed, because use it or lose it is basically the policy for these connections. And this is why like binging on music doesn't work. You might, have like a great like 12-hour day of music, but if you don't do music again for a month, you'll forget everything you learned in that 12-hour day. All right. It's consistency rather than creative binges that is really what works for artists or athletes or anyone who does anything exceptional. Consistency, tiny incremental changes that you do consistently that will reinforce neurochemically that behavior set. Okay. So if you want to make a tiny change and you want to be consistent, you want to make it easy, you got to make it convenient. If you have to, set up a whole easel and like go to your garage and like go behind your like winter sports equipment to get your paints out, and then find your brushes and then wash them all in turpentine, and then set up and put newspapers down on the floor before you even put a lick of paint on that canvas, you're not going to paint every day. If you have like a cool art zone in the corner and it's like it's just there waiting for you to catch a wild hair and put paint to canvas, you'll make art every day, right? So you got to make it easy. You got to make it fast. You got to make it convenient, and you got to set the bar as low as possible. Now, you're also going to want to remove distraction cues, especially if you're seeking to replace an addiction with an addiction to creativity. You will definitely want to watch out. Like I love smoking weed, but I do not have like a bong on my desk. I know if I have a bong on my desk, I am not going to get much music done. Right? Like I make sure that I have to, like, if I want to smoke weed, usually I got to, like, it's a bit of a production. Like getting the paints out of the garage, right? If I can make it like that, I'm not going to get so baked that I can't work, right? And once again, fun is essential to making it rewarding. I remember I had this girlfriend who like intuitively grasped this when I was in high school, and I really hated statistics and calculus and stuff. And I wanted to take psychology in university, and I needed calculus to get into statistics. And I was like, I hate this. Why do they put calculus first thing in the morning? Like I would pass out in class. And then my girlfriend came up with strip calculus. Bless her. And that was what got me through. And I basically got into university because she came up with strip calculus to get me through it. And I certainly liked calculus a lot more as a teenage high schooler. I was like, this calculus is a whole lot more interesting now. But yeah, so make sure that you're rewarding yourself. Stacking rewards is good, such as strip calculus. And that which is measured is improved. Habit tracking is also 100% essential. As you embark on the producer path, you're going to want to keep track of your behavior. And I recommend doing that with habithive.app. I met this wonderful person who is really into the book Atomic Habits and really into making habits better. And I was on Reddit, and there's this subreddit called The Internet is Beautiful, where there are things that like restore your faith in humanity there. And one of them was this free habit tracking app that this guy made. And I tried it out, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. And I hit him up, and I asked him about it. And he's like, a young, like 20-something, kid from England named Sam. And he made this habit tracking app so that his girlfriend wouldn't have to remind him to do the chores around the house. How cute an origin story is that? Awesome. And you can track unlimited habits for free with Habit Hive. And I really like supporting Sam. I really like sending people to him. And I was like, yo, I wanted to have a hive for the dojo. And actually, Dave, wait, I just want to recognize Dave. So Dave Ray in the chat right now, he's my partner at Producer Dojo, and he did not go on the Producer Dojo scoreboard. To get on the Producer Dojo scoreboard, you have to have the paid version, but it's like $20 a year. It's not much. But you get the paid version, and if you enter the code REMIX 2024, you can get on the dojo scoreboard. So we were all duking it out, handing out prizes during the Remix Your Life habit tracking challenge and stuff. But meanwhile, Dave got Habit Hive and didn't go on the scoreboard because he was not trying to be a music producer. Instead, he was, working on like journaling habits and like various other personal development habits, as well as drinking less and working out. And Dave lost like 30 pounds or made 35 pounds while we were all in the 3 months that we were all doing Remix Your Life. Dave lost like 35 pounds. Like, he looks great now. So props to you, Dave. And props to Sam for making Habit Hive. But yeah, Habit Hive, whether you get the full subscription and go on the leaderboard or not, the leaderboard makes it more fun. It's motivating. I enjoyed it. It's certainly, like when we were doing the Remix Your Life challenge January through March, I found it very motivating. Oh my God, 52 pounds now. You maniac. Yeah, I guess it was 35 like a couple months ago. Holy crap, Dave. But yeah, so there you go. Habit tracking, even the free version. Dave lost 52 pounds with the free version of Habit Hive. So yeah, if you want to get on the dojo scoreboard, toss Sam $20 and enter the code REMIX 2024. I don't even take any of it. I just want it all to go to Sam. But you can just do habit tracking for free with Habit Hive. It's awesome. And Sam is super cool. I feel great supporting him. But yeah, so you want to rig the game so that you can win. You want to be putting an X on your calendar for every day you do your super tiny goal. And you just keep doing these tiny goals over and over again. And next thing you know, you've lost 52 pounds like Dave, or maybe you've made an EP, right? It's just because when you get a streak going, right? Like the app will show you if you have a streak. And when you get a streak going, you don't there'll be some day where like maybe you're hungover or you didn't get a good night's sleep or something. And you're like, oh, I don't want to do my thing. But if I don't put my tick in my box, then I'll lose my streak. And I don't want to lose my streak. And even though they're like just made up points in this made up system and you could just lie and put the fake tick, you're lying to yourself when you put it. So you just don't want to do it. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's probably someone who's like a total sociopath who's like, oh, just lie. But yeah, you don't want to, you just, a normal person is not going to lie about that, because the point is for your own goals. Like, you're only cheating yourself if you don't do it, right? So it really is very, very motivating. And habit tracking, like study after study after study, just the act of measuring a habit makes you so much more likely to have your consistency. And so just like 5 minutes a day of music, that is so huge, because many days it will be more than 5 minutes. All right, so let's talk about plans, specifically SMART plans, because a goal or a wish, a goal without a plan, that's just a wish. A goal without a plan is just a wish, right? You're not going to get to your goal unless you have a plan, and you want that plan to be a SMART plan. A SMART plan meaning specific, measurable actions on a realistic timeline. Specific, measurable actions on a realistic timeline. So 5 minutes of music a day would be that. That would be a goal from a SMART plan. But your goal for the producer's path, your SMART plan for the producer's path. Now, you can use the techniques in the producer's path. All the psychological stuff will work if you want to lose weight, like Dave lost weight, or if you want to do anything else. It's all just neurotransmitters, right? Doesn't matter what you're trying to do. But I would encourage you to not go too bananas and put too many things, because remember, it's small, achievable goals with repetition that makes it work, right? So what I would recommend for your SMART plan, if you want to go from not having made music to making music that you are proud of, I would recommend daily commitments, 5 minutes of music time at minimum, and then if you have never written in a journal, especially, this is important. There's this journal exercise that I learned from a book called The Artist's Way. And although that book does have some religious stuff in it, and I am not really that kind of a religious person, the rest of the book is so useful that's why the producer's path is called the producer's path, is because of how powerful an effect the book The Artist's Way had on me when I needed it most, which was when I was like stuck and having writer's block. So the morning pages journal exercise, there's literally no way to fuck it up except for to not do it. And the goal is to just fill 3 pages with handwriting, no line breaks or paragraph breaks, no way to do it wrong except for it to be slow. So it's just speed. Like you just go as fast as you can. And that trains you to hit the gas, create first, ask questions later, etc. It will reprogram your whole shit doing this every day. It will reprogram your whole brain. It makes everything work. Considering the style development angle of the producer's path, I would actually say that this is a must for the producer's path. It may not be a must for other courses such as like Remix Your Life, etc., the more advanced courses, but for just like the 0 to 60, like reprogramming your brain and like transforming it and just getting out, like, because you might not necessarily know what your style is or like specifically what you're even trying to do until you've written in a journal a bunch of times. Because when you're trying to write as fast as you can and there's no wrong answers, stuff comes out of you that you're like, oh, I do feel that. I never said that. But now that I see it, I realize it's true. Wow, that changes everything. Like you're going to have a bunch of those moments. And then it also really helps you to not like use your friends as a therapist all the time. Nobody likes that friend where like every time you hang out with them, you're like, yo, like, are you going to start paying me to be your therapist? Like, I thought we were going bowling here. Like, why am I just listening to you fucking complain all day? Right. So it helps with that. If you're a complainy pants, I would be a real complainy pants without my journal. So then I would recommend in your SMART plan also weekly commitments. Weekly accountability with a third party. And this goes back to Gil Matthews' studies about goal setting and habit formation. Weekly, like formalizing your plan, committing to the plan, and then weekly accountability with a third party. Those 3 factors make you twice as likely to accomplish any goal. Is formalizing a plan, committing to that plan, and then sharing that with a third party with like accountability meetings. So right away, if you're going to do the producer's path, find someone, maybe it's another person in the producer's path. There are also some excellent senseis in the dojo that are intimately trained in the material in the producer's path, Crypto Chronica and Shadow Star. And you can either reach out through support to get their contacts or, we can put you in touch or whatever. But we're kind of like this round, we're not even trying to middleman the sensei sessions at all. Like if you want to get them, they know all of this material inside and out, and we'd rather all the money go to them. So, they're great. They're great, amazing senseis. I love them. So we can put you in touch if you just hit up support@producerdojo.com, but set up the weekly accountability, whether it's your friend, a parent, significant other. Maybe there's someone who like, maybe they talk shit and you're like, I'll show you, fucker. And you can sometimes that could be motivating too, but figure out some person where you can come to some kind of agreement where they check in on you and your goals every week. And they're like, did you do your shit or not? Right? Really important. Okay. So weekly, like number 1 commitment weekly is accountability to a third party where they're going to hold you to the material in your SMART plan. And then you need to have like 1 day of music. I try not to make the workload too intense in the producer's path because remember, it's small, achievable goals, rig the game so you can win. So having 1 day that you have at least 4 hours of music time, that's the only time that you really have to spend more than 5 minutes. And then the other 6 days, you can do your prep or, watch some of the videos in the reference library on different subjects. If there's a subject in the reference library you'd like to know more about, or you feel that maybe you want to learn about side chaining, or maybe you want to learn about saturation or whatever. There's videos on most of the main topics for producers in the reference libraries. So you could explore a reference library. Maybe you're working on your finger drumming. Depends on what your goals are. All right, so let's talk about listening skills and figuring out what's right for you. So there are no absolutes. How loud should a kick drum be? Depends on if you are Sarah McLachlan or Knife Party. Depends on what you're going for. So references are everything. There's no real objective truth. There's only references. So to kind of get close to objective truth, engineers will build these reference playlists that, like the one on the top left, the Audiophile Essentials one. I just was looking on Spotify, quick. And you can see that it's got Fleetwood Mac, Alan Parsons Project, Radiohead, Dire Straits, Fairly New Thundercat record, Danger Mouse, and Burial. Like, those are wildly diverse artists, right? Why would those artists belong in a playlist together? That's not going to make sense as a playlist. Well, this is not a recreational listening playlist. This is a speaker test playlist. So to make a speaker test playlist, you want 20 songs that translate, meaning that they sound good in mono, they sound good in stereo, they sound good in headphones, they sound good at a bar, they sound good at the office, they sound good in a car, they sound good on a PA system, etc. And this is for learning speakers and rooms. Like, if you've heard that song in a lot of different places at a lot of different times in your life, and you know how it is supposed to appear on those different sound systems, and it translates, well, you can use that as a reference for your sounds, right? These make great palate cleansers if you've been working on something for too long. And here you're going for familiarity more than personal taste. Like, for example, every reference playlist basically has In the Air Tonight on it by Phil Collins. And I've often asked these audio engineer bros, I'm like, are you really is this your sexy time music or something? And they're like, hell no, I only ever listen to this on a reference playlist. It's just widely regarded as a masterpiece. And every time I hear it everywhere, the sound system always sounds its best. So, I might not be cranking it all day when it's business time, but when I need to know how a sound system sounds or how a room sounds or whatever, I'll check that. And I remember when I was on tour with Excision, he had these really very Canadian sound guys. And I remember we were playing in Texas, and one of them was putting on these Stompin' Tom Connors songs about well, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name, and the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. And all these Texans were like, what the fuck is this Canadian ass music? And it was just because those engineers had been to a lot of hockey games, and they'd heard that exact song on a lot of giant PAs in a lot of arenas. So because their ears were familiar with how that song should sound in an arena, they could use it to test their sound system in an arena, right? So it's familiarity more than personal taste, more than genre. This is for just learning sound systems, etc. And then there are subjective, style-specific reference playlists. These are much more a matter of taste, like that melodic neurofunk playlist on the left. Usually you want about 10 songs per style or subgenre. You don't want these things to be too over the top. You're going to take these songs apart. You're going to use them to learn composition. You're going to use them to learn arrangement. You're going to use them to learn the cultural language of the genre that you are trying to either be inspired by and not make, or straight up those are the rules you're trying to follow, right? So whether you're trying to take some or all of the rules from that genre, you will take these songs apart. So you want to have 10 songs per style or subgenre. And then this is also very much for comparing mixing and mastering. You'd use the objective playlist for comparing sound systems. You'd use a subjective playlist for comparing mixing and mastering. All right, battle stations. Let's talk about preparing your zone. So to optimize your work zone, you want to have something ergonomic, uncluttered, and having a clear desk space. You may notice if you've watched a lot of my streams, there's pretty much always a different thing in this empty spot on my desk. And that's because that area allows me to focus, right? The emptiness is form. It is the emptiness of a cup that gives it its function. It is the hole in the midst of a wagon wheel that makes it work. And if your desk is just gear packed in, there might be some super cool piece of gear, but it's in an awkward spot, and so you never use it. Right? Whereas when you have that flexibility for creating a focus area, you can get things out of the way, get something else in there, and explore deeply one thing at a time. That's usually how the best music is made, is by exploring deeply one thing at a time, rather than bringing all of the things together, right? It's usually going way in on one thing, rather than having every single thing you've ever thought, right? So this environment, in addition to being ergonomic, uncluttered, and have a clear desk spot, it's a good idea to be able to stand up sometimes. And like my monitor, if I like, I can tip it forwards, and I have like just like wireless keyboard and mouse, or wireless like trackpad here. Oh no, I've skipped ahead by getting on my trackpad. I also have a trackpad here, and I will often, like go sit, like sometimes I'll even sit on that chair, just use the wireless keyboard and mouse. There's this mode that you can put the monitor in where it makes everything all big, called high DPI mode. And I'll like sit there and work like that, like just from far away, because being able to change up your position really helps with long sessions. Cable ties. You're going to want to use cable ties to manage your cables. They cost almost nothing, and they're a real life changer. And then you want to separate all of your power cables from your audio cables. It is amazing how susceptible even insulated cables are to power. Even if you have a power conditioner, even if you have brand new USB cables, the fact that your USB cables are crossing your power cables, like physically, or the fact that your audio cables are physically crossing your power cables, if you find yourself playing Find the Hum, I'm telling you, that's where it's coming from. Shitty power adapters, poor cable management. Like, you want to be like church and state with your audio and power cables. And I always used to have problems with my modular until I like made it like, so that inside I got it in a server rack, and on the left side of the server rack is all my power cables, and on the right side of the server rack is all of my my audio cables. And man, I get the cleanest signal out of this exact same equipment. It's just night and day. Oh, did I do something with my mic here? Hang on. You just said mic, so checkity check. Oh no, it's working. Okay, I think he was asking me a question about microphones. Yeah, definitely. Mic cables too. Mic cables, guitar cables, like you want to keep them separate, church and state. Audio and power cables separate. And if you don't have cable ties that are like the reusable Velcro ones, you can use zip ties, but just remember that's one for the dolphins when you're done. So I like to use the reusable ones. And reddit.com/r/musical battle stations. That is a great place to go look for inspiration. All right, so acoustic inspiration or acoustic optimizations. You want to find your primary reflections. I'm in a very treated room here, and these are my primary reflections. Your primary reflection points. Stop treating those. Stops me from getting the right speaker in my left ear and the left speaker in my right ear. And you can just take a hand mirror, move it along the wall while you're seated in your position, and then where the light reflects, that's the same place that the sound reflects. And then you also have a primary reflection up top on the ceiling and one behind you, but you want to get those primary reflections. So I got a little diagram to show you after. But if you treat nothing else, treat the left and right primary reflections. Like if you treat nothing else, treat those. And that's because parallel, flat, hard, and reflective surfaces, such as every bare wall in every room, is bad, because when you have two parallel surfaces, the sound goes boing, 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 and the length of the room is going to amplify a frequency in what's called a standing wave, and that's where it's like creating basically a new sound wave that's a multiple of how wide the room is, and it like makes like a ringing noise. And if you're ever like in a big empty room, like just clap your hands and like count the seconds, or like clap your hands and listen for ringing frequencies, and you'll start to be able to identify it. It can be cool if you're like trying to make impulse responses or whatever. I often make impulse responses by just clapping my hands and recording it with my phone. But yeah, parallel flat surfaces, bad. Irregular, soft, thick surfaces, good. So that is good news for all of you bedroom producers out there, because futons, beds, rugs, curtains, bookcases, hanging tapestries, all that stuff is great. It's all great for your studio. It's really, really good for your studio to have big, like that's what half of the reason I have this chair is because it's functioning as a bass trap. This chair is like the heaviest, thickest chair in my whole house, and it soaks up so much of the sound. It's awesome. So like, I think a lot of people, when they're first getting into music, they think like, oh, I need to have a room where like all it does is music and I need to get everything else out of it. Hell no. A cluttered room with like lots of like stuff and plant pots and like books and stuff. That's great. That's like really good. Cause you just want to break up flat walls. Like just think like, when you're moving and you go into a new empty place, you clap your hands, it's like ring. You're like, wah! Right? That's not what you want in a recording studio. That's the exact opposite of what you want. Right? So, if you like, it doesn't matter if your room's cluttered, like this station here in this photo, like, even though it's not perfect, they're nice and close to their monitors. Their desk is clean. It looks like a cool, pleasant place to be. Like I'd rather make music there than like, some studio with everything, but you got to like turn sideways to use your computer or something, like being comfortable and having a good vibe. That's more important than anything else. It's just gotta be fun. It's gotta be inviting. All right. So now let's go. Oh yeah, that is an AI image. I didn't want it to be a photo of someone's specific studio. Yeah, those are all like, if you look at, there's like weird gibberish objects. Like, is that a light? Is that a magnifying glass? I don't know. But yeah, so then if you want to know how the primary reflections work, once again, this is how they work. Like you want to treat basically to the immediate left and right of you and then to the back. And then just like if you have a bed or a futon or anything like that, awesome. Like it doesn't have to be the craziest acoustic treatment. And like you can have almost no acoustic treatment in your room. And as long as you're treating like the primary reflection points, that is great. Okay. So yeah, just remember, and you can find them with like a hand mirror. Like if you just use a hand mirror and like hold it up on the wall, you're like, oh, that's where it goes. Right. So yeah, so that's basically how that works. All right. So let's talk about preparing your machine. So hardware optimization, you want to have clean power and a surge protector. Like I said, most audio problems are from power cables. And you always see, like, I answered this question for people on Reddit all the time where they're like, I got this crazy hum. What's going on? I need a new mixer. And it's like, no, you don't. You just need to separate your cables. Like that's it. That's all you need. You just need to unplug everything, plug it back in, church and state, audio over here, USB with the audio, and then like power cables separate from everything else, and don't cross the streams like Ghostbusters. That's it. Just keep your audio and your power separate, and having clean power, like with a surge protector, makes a big deal. I almost destroyed a $4,000 computer by cheaping out and buying a really crappy aftermarket power supply because I don't like Apple and I didn't want to support them. And I totally, like, I almost broke my computer with it. So I only ever use like the official power supplies for things. Don't get cheap Chinese power supplies or from any other. I don't know I guess they probably make them in Taiwan and India now too, but it's usually like knockoff, like, it's all like Power Buddy or whatever, because there are some of the Chinese brands are great, but yeah, just make sure you're not using knockoff power supplies. If you're going to use a USB hub, use a USB powered hub, and then you want to use like a shielded cable, and a shielded USB is like this one, right? Where it's got this is what's known as a ferrite bead. Right. And this, like, you can buy just these things and clip them onto your cables. But these things, these little ferrite beads, they cost almost nothing. You can get like a big batch of them and they make a huge difference. Like, I never play a gig. If you're playing gigs and you have problems at the gig that are not happening at home, I guarantee it's because you're not using cables with ferrite beads, because there's a lot more electrical interference in like a live studio stage environment than there is at your studio. And that might be why you can't replicate the hum or replicate the, crashing or whatever at your gig. It's because at your house you don't. So I always like any nice cable, like this is a really fancy Thunderbolt 3 cable, not a USB-C, fat ferrite bead. you know? So like look for these ferrite beads. And it doesn't really even cost that much more usually. And you can just buy the ferrite beads by themselves too. If you have a favorite cable and you're like, it doesn't have a ferrite bead, you can buy them for like $2. But yeah, those make a big difference. So use shielded cables, use powered hubs, and you want to minimize your peripheral devices. Like I have very complicated setups typically, and I have come to know that a lot of the time I'll do my best work if it's like literally just a laptop with nothing plugged into it, because everything works great. And it's more important to have everything work great than it is to have all the things. So when you're talking about software, update your music software, update your sound card software, update your drivers. Anything that's not made by like Apple or Microsoft, you want to update all the time. But turn off automatic updates on your operating system, because a lot of the time the operating system will have what's known as breaking changes, which will, break everything. And then the companies have to catch up later. And you don't want to be an unpaid beta tester for Apple. Okay, don't be an unpaid beta tester for Apple. So don't update your OS, don't update your Windows, don't update your Mac OS. Yes, update your Ableton. Yes, update your plugins. Yes, update your sound card drivers. Okay, so music update, good. Operation system update, bad. Okay, you want to have, especially on a Mac, you always want to have at least 20% of your hard drive space free, right? And like, there's this kind of compulsion to fill everything all the time because it's like, especially when you're starting, you're like, I want to fill my song full of things and not have any silence left in it. And there's every empty spot is a spot I could put one more sound to try and impress people, right? People take that same attitude with like hard drives, with like batteries, etc. Like batteries, you got to run them down. If you leave them all the way up all the time, that will destroy your battery. If you don't have room on your desk to bring in something that you're interested in and put it in the middle, you're never going to explore that thing. If your cup has a lid on it all the time, you can't drink out of it, right? Same thing with hard drives, but the 20% with Macs is especially important, because when your hard drive is full, and let's say you have like, maybe 5 gigs of space, and you go to put a 1 gig file on it, and the hard drive is like 100 gigs hard drive, and you go to put this like 1 gig file into the 5 empty gigs. Well, chances are those 5 empty gigs, they're going to be scattered throughout the hard drive. So your computer is going to put like the beginning of the file here, and the middle of the file here, and then a little bit more there, and a little bit more there, and a little bit more there. And that file is what's known as fragmented. On Windows systems, there's like a defragmentation function that's like a maintenance function that you're kind of supposed to run. But Mac doesn't have that. Mac assumes that you have 20% free, and then it does it automatically while you're sleeping, which is kind of good for some reasons, kind of bad for other reasons. I can understand why they made that for like consumers, right? But if you don't have 20% of your hard drive full or empty at all times, like if your hard drive is like 90% full all the time, your computer will get destroyed. Like it will stop working, and you'll have to take everything off and wipe it and go back on if you want it to work. So watch out for that. And then the other big thing with Macs is they say that you can't change the batteries in the new Macs. I have learned that is not true. I learned how to change batteries in the new Macs. You can just buy an $80 battery kit, and it's like getting a new laptop. It's not even that hard to install them. Like it's not even that hard. I've changed several people's batteries. I changed the battery in an iPad. It's not even that hard. You just like follow the instructions carefully, watch the YouTube video, wear gloves. You're fine. It's not that hard. Like if you know how to use a screwdriver and you've got sticker goo off of something before, you'll get it. It's really not that hard. So if you have an Apple laptop or an iPad with one of those batteries you can't change, maybe check it out, because you might be able to fix it for like $80. Usually when I'm working, I also like to have my computer processor never cross 50%. I usually like to keep it at 25%, and I'll show you how that works workflow wise later, but it's a lot of resampling, TLDR, a lot of resampling. But yeah, don't don't be pushing your computer past 50% either, because once you do that, then things start messing up. And if it's not fun, it's not easy, it's not executing your commands quickly, it becomes frustrating, and you don't want to do it. Check for background apps. There's a Activity Monitor on the Mac is an app. Like if you just press Command space and then type Activity Monitor, you can see all the processes running on your computer and how much computer goo they're taking up, and check for hogs. But there's this software called Clean My Mac X that I don't know them. I'm not being paid for this endorsement whatsoever, but this shit is life-changing. Like, I remember when I was getting ready to go on tour in 2021, and I couldn't figure out why my computer wasn't working, and Clean My Mac X found out that my Dropbox had glitched, and it had created 300 gigabyte garbage in my computer that I would not have even found, because Dropbox, it was like a software error. And Dropbox had just filled 300 gigabytes of just like random garbage files. And Clean My Mac X found it and like saved my tour. You know, I was going to maybe buy another computer to go on that tour. And if you have a lot of complicated stuff going on, especially a lot of like login processes, like a lot of software likes to install like, oh, let's make sure you're not pirating our software agent that's like running in the background, or like, you know, it's like authorization agents, update agents, all these like annoying little things that just like it runs in the background, and like a lot of software install that. So, it may be worth it if you rely on a lot of software that has they're called daemons. They're like these little sneaky little software agents. If you have a lot of software that requires those, for example, like Adobe, or other softwares, you may want to make a new user account that has like almost nothing. So that, especially if you're on stage, I know a lot of people that have like, they're like, I'm going to hang out at home and, you know, pirate movies and make music and stuff, alias on their computer. And then when they're on stage, it's like a new user login that has like nothing except for what they need on stage. That can be a good move too. But yeah, so that's some software maintenance basics. And then we're going to get into the assignments, because the assignments, they're really what makes the course a course. Is the things that you do to put all this into action. There's assignments every week, and it is doing them that brings the value of the course. Okay, this material, it is like a finger pointing at the moon. Don't focus on the finger or you'll miss all the heavenly glory. Yes, well, the moon is the assignments, and it's what you bring to the assignments when you rise to the challenges. But we'll be right back for that in just a minute. I gotta get a drink. I'll see you in a sec.
I started from zero. I knew absolutely nothing about making music.
Man, the program is amazing.
Really beneficial for my whole workflow.
The experience has been great.
The highs were like everything. Dude, the way you laid it out teaching is prime.
It has been amazing.
Very enlightening.
Like phenomenally.
It gave me the answer that I was looking for.
Another huge breakthrough.
A huge difference.
And it is just so nice having someone be like, okay, here's what you do first. Like, this is what you want to learn first.
The habit tracking just really changed my whole mindset on life.
That's when I was like, okay, I can make music.
Making music felt more real at that point.
Honestly, it is so comprehensive.
Huge breakthrough.
Game changers.
Whatever I want now, I can put it into a song.
Like, just blows my mind.
And I can feel it in my music, the textures, the sounds. It gives me goosebumps every time I hear it nowadays.
I'm like, fucking give me more, man. Give me more.
It's pretty exciting. It makes me feel like I'm actually doing some art.
Because regardless of age, I think what we ultimately want to have is our music to sound good.
And I guess we all kind of like need a little bit of validation. Just a little bit.
Being able to translate into my speakers right now in my car, and it'll sound good.
Other people have been saying it sounds good, so that's really cool.
Everybody's like, oh, that's pretty cool. To understand, hey, motherfucker, I'm doing this shit right.
I felt like the producer's path helped me succeed in my goal with what I wanted to do.
Showed a couple of my friends. I was like, look, hey, check the platform. It's pretty dope, you know.
And I want to have a product that I could show my children's children who I was. Never found the answer until I went to the producer's path.
If you're ready to move beyond just making music and you want to learn how to become a better producer, that's when you take the producer path.
Heck yeah. But yeah, I want to give shout outs to all those dudes are in the chat right now, which I think, you know, I think that shows how much they like the course, that they're back a second time, and you can come back a second time when you get the producer's path too. Full money back guarantee, free updates for life, and the course is so deep that you can keep doing it again and again and again. And as your skills improve, you'll get more out of it each time because the assignments are cool like that. So let's talk about them assignments. All right. So assignment number 1 is an introspection assignment. And I do really strongly encourage you to do this with a physical pen and a paper. Same thing with the SMART plan, same thing with the journaling. It makes a really big difference. Like there's something about making the letters with your hands as opposed to just pressing a button that makes them like, it's like you're like tattooing them on your brain somehow. It's really, really cool. It has very profound psychological effects. But if you write a letter to yourself at the end of the program, even if it's like a rambling ass letter, that act is going to force you to think carefully about all the shit that you need to think about to be able to have your vision be clarified. And because this course is like, you know, it's not like jump through these hoops and we'll give you a diploma. It's not that kind of course. Like it's a course that is, you know, it's about your goals. It's about helping you to your goals. Everyone has different goals. Some people come in, they want to make rap records. Some people come in, they want to do like, you know, theater music. Some people come in, they want to do banging DJ tunes. Some people make house. Some people make drum and bass. Some people make down tempo. You know, I mean, I had one guy who was bagpiper, an electronic bagpiper in Scotland, because he realized that it's like technically illegal for anyone to stop you from playing the bagpipes in Scotland. So he got like a little PA system and a drum machine, and he would do like electronic music with bagpipes and busk. And like he made a living doing that because you couldn't, like he didn't need a busking permit or anything because bagpipes are like, they have special cultural significance in Scotland, right? And then, you know, you got people like Seal and Apache and Damian Taylor with his 10 Grammy nominations, and, you know, all the other people that I'd like, I can't even keep count of how many people have taken my courses and like blown up. You know, a lot of my favorite musicians. I mean, Mr. Bill, like when I first met him, he was like a teenager and he went to one of my courses when he's a teenager, and now he's like one of the greatest producers ever. Right. So, yeah, but getting clear about what your goals are and what you want out of the course, writing a letter from your present self now at the beginning of the course to yourself in the future at the end of the course, that exercise is really powerful. And it was Dave who showed me that exercise first. He did it at this educational thing that he went to, and it's like really, it's huge. It makes a big, big difference. And it's a great way, you know, because like when you want to make music or whatever, there's a million ways you can take it. So being clear about like what your vision is, it's really important to be clear about what your vision is. And this letter exercise, like if you do that, you'll get clear about it, and it honestly won't take you that long. The next thing that you want to do is hang your SMART plan on your fridge. Like once you decide what exactly is in your SMART plan, I mean, I suggest the morning pages journaling exercise every day, 5 minutes of music a day. But if it's only one of them, it's got to be 5 minutes of music a day. And then accountability meeting every week, one longer session to do the assignment, and then just 5 minutes a day for the rest of them. And you'll probably pick off the rest of the, like the prep assignments you can kind of do in shorter sessions, or kind of pick away at them. You don't need like a long session to do the prep assignments, but you know, that one day of writing music a week, you're probably going to need at least one day where you have like a 4-hour block to do it a week. And then you're going to want to have like a little accountability check-in, even if it's like 5-10 minutes where you just call the person up and you're like, I did my shit or not. But yeah, accountability, and then you got to schedule that. So I would put your SMART plan up on your fridge, because especially if you live with other people, the fact that it's on the fridge is going to create like a social pressure, because you know that they know You know, remember that goes back to Gail Matthews' research, which the 3 factors that Gail Matthews identified, and this has been replicated loads of times. It's like foundational to all of, how like behavior science is. The 3 factors are formalizing a plan, share and committing to it, sharing the plan with others, and weekly accountability. They tried different schedules. They tried bi-weekly, they tried daily, they tried monthly. Weekly accountability meetings to hold yourself accountable to the plan that you've formally committed to and shared with people, right? And that's why a lot of these like social media challenges work, you know, like when people have like, you know, the Movember or Sober October or whatever, when people are like, I'm doing Sober October, everybody, and they call it, it's like someone sees you drinking, they're going to make you feel weird. And you should feel weird if you told them that you weren't going to drink and then you're drinking, right? So it helps you stick to your word to yourself to have that SMART plan conspicuously posted in your fridge, at least, if not posted on social media, and then schedule weekly accountability. Then you're going to want to make one sound system test playlist that they might not be your favorite tracks, but they're tracks that you've heard like a million times. Like these are probably mostly going to be tracks that would be like on the radio or whatever, that you just know how they sound. You've been subjected to this in many different environments, many different times. And then you're going to want to have 3 very specific style playlists. And as we get into the style development and as well as, you know, learning to compose, we're going to be analyzing the tracks on those style playlists. So probably put a little bit more attention in the style playlist than in the objective sound system test playlist. And then you're going to want to prepare your battle station. And then if you are, because like classes don't start until the 14th, but if you're itching to get going and you really want to dive in, I would recommend watching The Jump. The Jump, it should be in your library, and then just browse through the reference library because there's some pretty deep videos on a variety of subjects, and they are there for a reason. Like every one of those things is valuable. They're not mandatory, but if you're like chomping at the bit, like you can't wait to get cracking, check out some of those reference library videos because there's a lot of really good stuff you could be doing in there. And then The Jump is like a great like big picture video. So those would be your assignments. All right, cool. So I'm going to open it up now for questions. Does anyone have any questions about the producer's path? And if anybody joins in the next, I don't know, 5 minutes, I'll do you some track feedback because it's still not 8:30 yet. So if anybody joins in the next 5 minutes, they can get real track feedback right now. But yeah, if you have any questions about the producer's path or about anything that we've covered today, please let me know. Okay, cool. Oh, Skirt moves the first week of classes. But yeah, it's, like it is in real time, but the course doesn't expire. Like if you miss a week, you're probably fine. And, if you want, we can give you the version 1 of week 1. If you want to do week 1 a week early or something, we could give you the version 1 week 1 a little early if you like. But just hit up support. Like the dojo is not like, it's not like a giant McDonald's cranking out producers. Like it's all pretty hands-on and pretty like we keep the numbers down. So if you hit up support, like you'll actually get me and Dave and Katie on support. It's not going to be like some person who doesn't know anything about music, because it'll be us, right? Okay, Ego says, I want to say thanks for the video. So stoked to get cracking on the producer's path. Heck yeah, big up. Yeah, it's great to see you here, Ego. And hey, is there anyone here who's like never done anything in the dojo before? I recognize most of the names in the chat, but yeah, if there's anyone. Oh yeah, big up, David Brown. And yeah, Joey. Yeah. Oh, Cynthia's in the house. Yeah, Joey DiCasio, killing it. Yeah, Joey, I was going to kind of use the track feedback as an incentive for people who have not done the course yet, but, you were in the, hi, Brad. Welcome. What up, AJ? What up? Welcome. Yeah. Welcome to the crew. Yeah, if nobody does it in the next 5 minutes, you can have it. Cause you were in the testimonials ad, Joey. So that I think would be fair. And I mean, he's trying to make, music for his his grandkids so they can know who he was, and he's been cranking out some good stuff. So, actually, you know what you could actually do? Actually, Joey, why don't you hit me up at, hey, what up, Nerdseek Mark? Yeah, Joey, actually, why don't you hit me up at mgmt@illgates.com, and I'll check it out and I'll call you. How about that? I'll give you like a private little fucking call. But yeah, mgmt@illgates.com, Joey, and then I will call you after the class. So I just want to see. So see if I think we got 2 more minutes until my 5 minutes is up. So if anyone can power through the producerspath.com add to cart process, they can get track feedback. But otherwise, I think I'll give Joey some track feedback privately. I think would probably be the more integrity move to do it, because I don't want any accusations of nepotism. Okay, so yeah, once again, it didn't like my link there. I'll try it again. Hutapus. Oh, yeah, theproducerspath.com. Let's see if that'll do it. Yeah, that did it. Okay, cool. Yeah, Ego says, Alchemy Neuro, massive YouTube producer. Someone posted it in the listen to this channel a couple days ago. Oh, Lawrence. Yeah, Todd, yeah, we can do your payment plan if you want, man. Yeah, just hit up support. Hit up support at producerdojo.com. Yeah, because Todd Cameron in the chat room, by the way, he's like my favorite DJ all through high school. And he's probably the only person who knows who the strip calculus girl was. But yeah, Todd, aka D Dot, excellent turntablist, drum bass DJ, breakbeat DJ. But he's a big part of why I made breaks when I got out of high school and started making music and stuff. But yeah, so big up, D Dot, killing it. Cool. And then Cynthia, oh man, I would love to hear one of your tracks. I was kind of doing it as a thing for if anyone gets it. But yeah, I'll be doing some more track feedback streams though, for sure. I suppose I could give you track feedback privately too, Cynthia. You're pretty cool. So yeah, mgmt@illgates.com. I think that's the 5 minutes. That is the 5 minutes. So our time is up. So yeah, Cynthia and Joey, hit me up privately, mgmt@illgates.com. I'll give you guys a call in a bit. But yeah, I just want to say lots of love and thank you all. And I guess there's one last thing for me to do, and that is play you out with the new Producer's Path sample pack that I made. There's a brand new Producer's Path sample library. It is over 45 minutes of audio end to end, which is pretty bonkers. A lot of my best sounds are in there, and that's part of the course. So you don't need sample libraries or anything. You have everything you need as soon as you get the course. And I'm going to play a little bit of it because there's some really cool sounds in there. And that is a free bonus. It's $50, not in the course, and that is a free bonus. So yeah, big up to everyone at the dojo. Yeah, if any of you guys I know it's like tough out there financially. So yeah, Squale is asking for a payment plan too. Yeah, if you just hit up support, We will figure you out. Just hit up support. All right. So here is a sneak preview of the Producer's Path sample pack. That and the Producer's Path book are coming. There's a full-length book that I wrote. I'm just putting the cherry on top. But yeah, that is also going to be part of the course. You can get more details at theproducerspath.com. But here we go. Here is some samples. Lots of love. Thanks for watching. That's lesson 0. All right, cool. So I'm gonna go before I get a copyright strike for the amen break because there's some amen breaks in that sound pack, and I don't know if that counts as copyright detection or not, so I'm gonna not put that in there for now. But yeah, so the amen break is for educational uses only, but the rest of them are all copyright free. And I don't think anyone's gonna care if you sample an amen break. I have never even heard of anyone being sued for an amen break, but I'm still not taking my chances with that copyright detection algorithm that YouTube has. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. If you want to hear the other 40 minutes of samples, you should get the sample pack. That is theproducerspath.com. Money back guarantee, no subscription, and lifetime updates are free. And many of the people in the chat today are the exact people whose testimonials I included in the Producer's Path, because it works. It works. It works for everyone. If you follow all the steps, it will work, guaranteed. And if you don't love it, I'll give you your money back. So how do you lose? Go to theproducerspath.com right now and sign up, because there's a special deal where you can get the Producer's Path 1 included as a bonus when you get the Producer's Path 2. But you got to do it by the 14th. Because on the 14th, that's when classes start. And then it's full price, and you only get the Producer's Path 2.0. But if you get it before the 14th, you get 1.0 for free, and you get the sample pack for free, and you're going to get my new book for free. So yeah, pretty cool. And then you also have the advantage of doing it live with our group and habit tracking and everything, and getting to ask questions live and stuff like that. So yep, don't miss your chance. Got nothing to lose. Money back guarantee, free updates for life, loads of bonuses, and it'll be fun. I promise it'll be fun. All right, lots of love. Big up to all of you out there in Dojo land. Extra special love to Dave and Katie and Karen and everyone else behind the scenes at the dojo. Yun, big up to Yun, DJ Yun. He's a legend. Yeah, big up to you for watching. That's our session. See you next time. Peace.